Welcome, Internet, to, in our opinion, the best Survivor podcast available on the Internet. We are the Survivor Buffs. Let me do one quick thing that I completely forgot to do. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Um, this is my brother Drew. I'm Dave, and we are here to talk about episode 10 of Survivor. And like I always start it, name of the show, Drew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got it this time.
Okay.
Running the show. I can't remember who said it, but my vote is Whitney. I could be wrong.
I think I see they both say it. Because I looked this up and I like to ask this question, so I researched it. Whitney says it first. Sophie says it later.
Well, then I'm right. If Sophie said, or sorry, if Whitney says it
Yeah,
first.
yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
So overall, without going into spoilers, what would you rate this episode if we were to rate it out of like a five? Because
Oh, dude,
I'll tell you right now, I'm putting it at maybe a 3.5 to 4.
dude. For me, it was easily a 6.
Wow.
So I started watching Survivor with you, right? With my sister, with my mom,
Yep.
younger. I saw it. I didn't really grab.
Sorry, quick
Yep.
for anyone watching at home. Yes, normally it's our sister and our mom is here. They
Yep.
both had other things they had to do, so you're gonna get us. I think it was just us a couple episodes ago. So yeah, just throwing it out there.
And
Continue.
I point that way, which is weird. Because, okay,
Yeah,
so
that's right. I
uh,
know.
so uh, so yeah, I remember we started this podcast season 7, and I remember seeing glimpses of season 7 with you guys in the living room. Um, anyways, regardless, I I I mean, I did a trip to hang out with our mom, and we I restarted the journey with I think I want to say season 30, 31, 32.
I think it was around there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I backtracked, did season 7, and then I jumped ahead and did kind of a few seasons before 30 and then a few after. Um Hands down so far for me, I don't mean be that guy, but yeah, the way they laid out this season is my favorite by far, hands down. Um, I'm so excited. I watched episode 10 and then I binge watched the rest of the season that day. So
Good.
that that was how much it drew me in. So yeah.
So, like, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, obviously you've probably seen
No,
more
for sure.
episodes. I kind of forget what happens. Like, I've seen this season before, but without giving anything away,
Of course.
did this episode give you like kind of a front runner? Was there?
Oh man. Honestly, at this point, uh well, honestly the whole time although maybe not the most personable guy, um Ozzy, I just love how he's I'm going to Redemption Island. I'm gonna be a good host, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
send you on your way. And I was just like, dude,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
give
man.
you a fish. You'll get a
I
night's sleep, and then I'm gonna send you packing.
dude, I as much as everyone loves Cochrane, and and I do too. Um, I'm so at this point, I'm so I've never it's not that I'm gonna be not Team Aussie at some point, but yeah, man. I just I love his defiant you know what, I'm gonna do this, and I don't know, I really think that he planned this. I really think that he had that in the works, and I think he's um coach is running all these people. Like Ozzy's smart, man. He he can fend for a tribe. He can fend for himself. Like
Yeah, true.
like if you were Ozzy, like why wouldn't you be doing what he's doing right now? It to
It's
me it seems really smart.
it's hard to argue against it. He makes a very good point later on in the episode, but yeah, notes about that. I mean, I literally up until now, well, up until this episode, I thought Ozzy was very much not thinking clearly, right? Like he was emotional. He was right. He freaked out at his tribe a couple episodes ago.
So when that happened, did
We're
you
being
feel
totally
like
honest. What?
so when that happened where he's like, nah, I'm a free agent. From that point on, did you feel like he was a little bit untethered? Because I feel like he sort of came back to his senses before now.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
But I just this is. I mean, I get what you're saying. I didn't like Ozzy up until this episode. This is the
Interesting.
first
Okay.
episode that I was like, great idea. Like he makes a lot of good points. Like I said, we'll get to it later. But I was season up until this point. It's been mostly focused on Cochrane and the downfall of Savai. Like they felt there was a couple episodes where Upolou was worried about Brandon, and it has not like no one's talked about Edna the past couple episodes. No one's talked about Brandon. I mean, until this episode, but it just seems like the past three episodes, Opolou's been untouchable. Like ever since that rope challenge where Cochrane screwed up the ropes, it seemed like it seemed like both tribes were neck and neck. But Cochrane or Ozzy's master plan of Cochrane being the double agent, which we spoke of a couple episodes ago, it
Right.
really feels like the as soon as that happened, the power is now shifted to Upolu, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens next. And I mean, we'll get to it. I don't want to be spoilery, but yeah.
No, it's okay. So I just
You
want to
ready
point
to?
this.
Oh
I
yeah, fire away.
30 seconds. I want to point this out. So
Okay.
I'm rewatching this season. I've never seen this season before. Before we filmed this show, I saw episode 10 and then I was like, I have to know what happens. And I binge watched the rest. But our earlier shows, I just watched, you know, as we went, right? Um, with this season, I've got an overwhelming feeling from you, Jess, Mom, that like we talked because we talk about the show all the time, like outside of the show,
Sure.
and you know you know we talked. I think it was like 2 episodes ago, and you're like, oh man, I'm really apprehensive. Like it really seems like for people that watch this show episode by episode that whatever happened and whatever magic was there, like people fell in love with Cochrane. Like when I talk to you, when I talk to Jess, when I talk to Mom, it's like everything is in terms of Cochrane not winning. Like, um, and you know, seeing it fresh, having seen another season that Cochrane played, and now seeing the first time he played, yeah, like I'm totally rooting for him, but I feel like there's so much more going on this
Hmm.
season. Anyways, that's just like almost a tribute to Cochrane, right? Like I can see how much you and Jess and Mom and me as well are just like behind that guy, right? Like he's that way, and that's a cool thing. But I definitely feel like there's man, like for me, so far the juiciest season I've seen. Anyways, we'll get into it.
Interesting. Okay.
We
Um,
we gotta start.
so I'm gonna load up this picture, and I know which picture. Like you know what picture I'm gonna throw up. So I'm just
Well,
gonna let you
well,
talk
so
about it. I'm just gonna
yeah,
show it, and you give her.
okay. So the thing that I find awesome about this is because the last episode that we did that Jess was on, she mentions the super cringy morning yoga, and uh, like I didn't notice it. It slipped by me because like it was the first time I'd seen it, and it was the first episode that had happened. So I just kind of like I was like, oh, what that happened? It just kind of it was totally under my radar. But after we did that show and me watching the other episodes, now it's like in the back of my brain. And I
Hmm.
swear to God, since Jess mentioned it, every episode since has had a cringy yoga pseudo yoga. Um,
Pseudo yoga, yeah, because it's not actual yoga.
and like and
Again,
like
I always mention this, and I never remember what he calls it. But yeah, he probably calls it something like Dragon Slayer yoga or something like that.
well, so in the very beginning here, when they're doing it, you hear a monologue of Cochrane, and he's like, yeah, he's like, okay, I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. I've been like I knew I had to like, drink it for realism so they didn't know I was, faking, but I'm trying to like just sip it and I honestly like I get it. I get where he's coming from. He's trying to fit in but not appear to be a complete sellout. Like uh yeah, it's a rough spot.
Rough spot.
The episode okay. So
Yeah,
the
the episode starts.
the episode starts night vision. My biggest thing from that whole thing was coach and
Well, it's
coaches.
what? Okay, continue.
Well,
Sorry, I
well,
interrupted.
he's smart, right? He's like, I don't want people to be nervous. When people get nervous, they reconsider their allegiances, right? He's like, I want to assure people's worries, and to me, that's very smart. But he's just like, there's the whole thing, night vision. He's like, yeah, trust me, and I'm just like, in my brain, I'm just like watching him, like he's playing smart, but I'm like, oh my god, you guys don't see this, like, ugh.
I know there's a it's I this is well, I'll mention it when we get to it earlier, but I feel like this is yeah, the rest of the season is Upolou. It is figurehead and some of his underlings, his two lieutenants are gonna they have their own ideas, and I don't think the king or dragon slayer knows that he has two lieutenants who he picked good lieutenants. Like it's a nice little three-person alliance he's got, but I he's discounting their level of like he doesn't have a bunch of Ricks on and Ednas on his tribe. He doesn't. He has an alpha
Oh, I
that
got excited there for a second. I thought we were going to talk about Ricks and Mortys, but there's a Rick in the game. I get it.
yeah, yeah. But yeah. So I think yeah, we'll get to it. So it actually starts, and I made a note of this with Jim getting to Redemption Island, and Jim says like, I thought this was going to be the final three, and I was like, oh yeah, right. It's a reunion of the boat buddies.
The boat
Don't you
buddy.
remember? Like
The,
episode two,
I
Jim
I
goes,
apologize. It's not I like, but it's not ringing bells. So you got to
no,
catch me up on me.
Jim,
I'm in, but I don't.
Jim goes fishing with Keith and Ozzy, and he goes, "Yeah, if I make an alliance with these two people, like I'm set." And then it cuts to Keith having a talking head, being like, "Yeah, me and Ozzy were already set. I mean, Jim just showed up, so yeah, I guess there's three of us now." But it was episode two or three where Jim's like, "Dude, I'm gonna get in with the cool kids." Keith and Ozzy are like, "Sure, Jim, you're invited." Three of
Dude,
us at the end, and look at them all now.
dude, honestly, if Jim hadn't have gone like full Andrew and just like full aggro, like if he had have been able to rein in his anger, I would have picked him to win. Um, Especially like being a poker player, uh, you know, being proficient in something where you have to read people. I thought he had a very good read on people. I think he let his emotions get a little bit away from him, and I really, I like the whole time he was in the game, I had him as top three,
Yeah,
hands down, easy.
I hear you.
Uh, uh, yeah,
So
spoiler, but
then we get
it's this episode.
the scene you were talking about with Black and or Night Vision, where Coach is telling everyone,
Yeah,
"Yeah, we had to get rid of the guy. He was a bad apple. We had to just so you know, the other Survivor members, I still value you. We just had to get Jim out. I mean, obviously, and yeah, Whitney and Dawn are not buying it.
Whitney, and I made a note of this. I was like, Whitney doesn't buy it, and rightly so.
Now,
Uh, and then I said question mark because I was like, will she be the one to kind of tip the scales to be like, no, this guy's it's full of hogwash, right?
I do like the line Whitney says where she's like, all of these smart people, they're all
So stupid.
they're all so stupid.
Yeah, man. I I almost screenshotted that on my rewatch today and to point it out because yeah, and I and honestly, I'll be honest with you guys, the internet, there's something about Whitney that rubs me the wrong way a little bit.
Okay,
I still think she's astute and smart, and she knows what's up. You know what I mean? We don't have to be best friends, but I think she's smart and yeah, I think she's got a good read on what's going on right now.
fair enough.
Yeah.
So then what we got after she calls everyone stupid, then we got, I'll pull this image up, then
So
more yoga.
I
Um,
I wondered about this because in the early episode, after that whole thing happens, right? And there's they're doing yoga and he's Cochrane's talking about I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, I'm sipping the Kool-Aid. Um, but then Coach says he's worried about Albert, right? He kind of he plants that seed and he's like, and I don't like I think he's genuinely afraid of Albert for sure, but it's interesting that he's like, oh bro, I'm you know he kind of, pardon me, he confesses something sort of real a little bit I
yeah, fair.
I I it just I found it interesting because as soon as Cochrane came over and was like, I'm doing this thing, Coach called it out right away. I was like, nah, man, this is bullshit. You want to come over for real? Come over for real. But I see through this. So then at this point, for him to be like, hey, man, I'm real worried about this guy trying to fucking,
Yeah.
give me the Julius Caesar, right? I'm like,
I was just thank you for saying that. I was just about to say he is Caesar, constantly looking over his shoulder, looking out for Brutus,
yeah,
constantly.
yeah, hands down, yeah, the whole season, absolutely, agreed, yeah.
He is definitely constantly being like, okay, who's going to be the Brutus? Who's going to be the Brutus? And he's trying everything he can to just sort of quell that upheaval or uprising, or you know what I mean? Like he's he's constantly saying, "I'm not in control. I'm not in control," and
Man,
and part of me after, well, we'll get to it. I
yeah,
have a point. I don't want to
but
get ahead of myself
no,
here. But
no, but what you're saying, if I were a player in the game around him, what I would find frustrating is that like don't be
like what?
don't be fake news, man. Don't be like, no, you have a hand in it. You have
Yeah,
an interest. You have a stake in what's going on. It's not that people listen to you, but you have a vision and you're offering that opinion to other people. And then just to claim that nah, it's no, I don't know. Like don't front. Don't
yeah,
front.
but at the same time, you don't want to, like, I know I'm speaking like 3 or 4 episodes ago, but you don't want to be a Brandon and just try to get on your soapbox in front of the entire tribe and say, I think this is going on. And if you're outnumbered, it's suicide to do that. So if
It's
coach is
yeah,
gonna think he's running the show, just let him.
but
Just
if you're but
why
if you're but if okay, let's talk about that though. If you're not outnumbered, it's not suicide. It's
true.
and I love to quote Johnny Fairplay, one of my favorite players in the game, but it's hearts and flowers. You know, hearts
I still
heart.
don't understand how you're a Johnny Fairplay fan and you haven't fully embraced Russell as the best villain ever. Like it's you really got to watch some of those seasons, man. You think
I'll
Johnny
I'll
Fairplay
I'll
is
I'll
great?
I'll watch it, but all I'm saying is like, especially like John, being a professional wrestler, he understands the arc of a story. He understands the things that are going to pull on people's heartstrings, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, man, you're just playing that little arc out for people, right? And I've seen people do it on Survivor. Like, it happens later this season where someone calls to something, and I don't know if it's editing, but it, at least the way they edited it, it feels out of character. And I think sometimes, and man, like sometimes it works. Like there's some stuff, like uh you walk by a kitten that's stuck in something on the road and it's like meow meow, you can be like, oh, like there's some reactions that are emotional reactions, but it's like getting hit on the knee at the doctor and it's like and I think
Right.
there's people that are smart enough to roll those emotional shot to the knees to
Right.
their fellow players. Anyways,
No, fair enough. There isn't much after Coach. I've
I
um, I
yeah
have in my notes. I've written down Benjamin a lot because I thought it would piss him off. But let's be honest, Coach probably isn't watching this, so I can just say Coach. After Vines and Cochrane, it just goes straight to the challenge,
that's yeah.
or the duel. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Survivor producers. Yeah, I went from like, not that what happened there wasn't good, but yeah, I went from like Coach's Kool Aid to Redemption Island.
Yeah, I know. So this duel, if do you have any guesses?
Dude, guesses? You kidding
Yeah,
me?
what's it called?
Uh
Hmm.
I don't
I
know
know what it's called because I do my research, but
what do you mean, the challenge?
yeah, the duel. Ozzy, Jim, and Keith
Is it
all arrive at the duel.
is it
Uh,
is it called I want Ozzy to own everyone's face? Because that's what I would name it.
it's called Keep It Up.
Yeah,
So both players have planks on their hands with poles, and they have to hold their hands at about here. And if they move their hands at all, you're done.
I love the look on Jim's face going into this when he sees it, and Jeff announces it, and he just laughs to himself like, I'm not gonna be able to do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jim did not go into this with a winning attitude, that's for sure.
I was a little bit.
A poker player that was just handed like a two or four. That's the look. Like he looks at his cards and goes, God damn it. And like, this
Yeah.
is what I got to play with. Okay, I'll give it my best shot. But
Oh, dude. Yeah, absolutely. I was a little bit concerned with Keith. Right. Obviously, I'm Team Ozzy. I want him to win. Right. Keith is a very athletic guy. Like you can see, like low percentage body fat, but he's a little bit longer and lanky, and
hmm,
he had. Oh, can't get that. He had a very like a wide grip in the beginning, and
mhm,
I think Ozzy was smart when he like kind of sat back. He had the backs of his hands up, but he kind of had his elbows a little bit in. And rather than trying to have like a wide stance, like if you've done that move at the gym, like it's not easy, that peripheral movement, right? So I think Ozzy really conserved his energy and kind of like kept in tight. And I yeah, I had him to win, and I wasn't surprised. when he was.
So a couple things I wanted to point out. One, there was a point where Ozzy realizes his poles are like not where it is,
Yeah,
and he literally plays with fire and
he
moves
does.
his
He
hand
does. He does.
to
And that's
maneuver his own pole, and I was like, that is impressive, Ozzy. Like no
it's
other
impressive.
player in the game, no other player on the entire island right now. Nobody.
I
Nobody would have been like, I got this.
I
He is
and
the most confident man in the entire game at that moment.
yeah, but if that had a slipped, he would be like on the wall of shame.
Oh, true, true.
Like I get it, but I think it was, even Jeff makes a comment. He's like, he's like flirting with disaster or something to that effect,
Yeah,
and he was, but man, he stuck it.
yeah.
Oh,
That's the thing
they,
is, can you
I
really argue against his confidence when it just keeps working for him? It's hard to be like, you're really cocky, Ozzy. Yet he does
I
stuff like that, and you're like, yeah, if I could do that, I might be that cocky. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I get it.
I I'm so emotionally invested in like Ozzy's game. I
Okay.
I like I'm so much like yeah, it was like a flirt with disaster, but he stuck it. He's sticking it in everyone's face, and I love it. I don't
So second thing I wanted to bring up before we, get to
Yeah.
the end. How did you feel when Jeff was like, "Who here's cheering for Jim?" And people were like, "Yeah, go Jim."
Oh, dude.
Who
Yeah.
here's cheering for Keith? And Whitney's like, "Me." Who here's cheering for Ozzy? Cricket noises. Cricket noises. It was unbelievable.
And and honestly, that's part of why I'm so much behind Ozzy. Like, uh, as a fan, I can emotionally relate to that. Like I think about the times in my life when I felt downtrodden. I'm just like, oh man, I'm rooting for the underdog. I want this guy to win now. Good. Don't cheer for him. He's still gonna rise up. It's a it's the kind of something. It's like a Walter White kind of a thing. It's something you can get behind. It's something people can relate to. I think it was amazing. Personally, yeah.
I like, I don't know, I was when Jeff was like, "Does anyone want Aussie to win?" and no one says anything, I'm sitting there watching my phone, being like, "Oh, it's just gonna add so much more fuel to Aussie's me against the world mentality."
Yeah,
It's yeah, nothing motivates you more than 10 other people saying something. It's
yeah.
like I think that Aussie did his readjustment. That I think Aussie was like, no, screw everyone else. I got this. I'm Aussie. Problem solved. And yeah.
So,
So I mean, yeah. Spoiler alerts. Aussie wins.
so right before the end of the challenge in my notes, I've got double redemption island, like double rainbow, right? Right, and then I was like, Ozzy is still the king. Like, uh, yeah, man.
Did you see the look on everyone else's face watching, being like, "That's what you're up against.
Yeah,
That's your way out the door. That's it." Like,
yeah, yeah. We're gonna talk more about Ozzy before the
yeah,
season's done. I tell you what.
for sure.
Oh man, it's such a good season. The whole thing, like, I don't know. Yeah,
So then after that challenge, everyone goes back to camp, and we cut it up on Redemption Island by himself. Really stoked being able to swim around the reefs in the caves.
oh, dude, was this the one where he caught like the biggest fish ever?
No, that was I
Oh,
think
that was last
that was
episode.
yeah, that was last episode. Him and Keith ate like kings, but this was him just saying, and I really like this scene because a it's Ozzy being like, yeah, I can catch fish, and I like the shots of him being underwater, and you see the waves above him.
Yeah,
Like realistically, if Cochrane were to be doing that, there'd be, I think, more cameras on him because they'd be like, I don't know about Cochrane. But Ozzy is one of those guys that were like, hey, Ozzy, do you think we get a shot of you doing this? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And
Dude,
he's like, the
what?
camera guy's like, cool, I'll sit here. You get this really cool shot of the waves above you. And Ozzy's like, yeah, no problem, man. I can
Dude,
do that.
there was a shot
And then he climbs.
earlier earlier this
Sorry, you
season
go.
where there was one of those things where they've got I don't know what to call it. It's like three, wooden poles together in the little right, and they come together and they're tied with twine, and it's like a little tripod of
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know, and and Ozzy's like there's a scene where it comes in from a helicopter clearly, and they're like watching him coming down, and he's like standing on this thing like just bouncing, being like looking off into the distance all majestically like uh what was the line in Narnia? I don't
Is
know.
that the because that was the next thing I was going to mention is he's talking about he's able to feed himself. He just climbs a palm tree and just chops down coconuts. And then the next shot is him standing on top of the palm tree.
Yeah,
And it's
dude,
like, that's a great shot. Like,
dude is a beast. I want to be Ozzy. I'm like, I'm like, and we're gonna get into it later in the season. But I think personally, he's a very inspiring guy. When we get to the reunion episode, I think he has some really important stuff to say. Um, yeah, I think he's a great role model. Solid guy.
fair enough. Okay. I just love the shot of him on top of the tree. I bet you a cameraman was probably watching him climb up for coconuts and be like, dude, I don't know if you should do that. And Ozzy's like, yeah, I'm good. And so then the cameraman's like, oh wow, he got up there and got coconuts. Hey Ozzy, do you think you can climb all the way to the top and we can get a shot of you on top? And Ozzy's like, yeah, no problem, bro. And yeah, that's how they got the shot. It was because if Cochrane tried doing that, there would be like four waiting for him to fall. But what
Cochrane,
Ozzy does,
Cochrane,
it's they're waiting for him to get to the top. There
I,
is a bit of a difference.
I love Cochrane. Cochrane would get 6 feet up the tree and fall down and like get
Exactly,
that. Yeah.
but they wouldn't get the helicopter or the drone ready for that shot. They would be like, no, no, stay at home, guys. We don't need you. Trust me, we got two of us at the bottom of this tree. He'll
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah.
You get the shot of him falling. But Ozzy, it's like, no, he's going all the way to the top. Guys, he's going all the way to the top. Get that drone, like we. And it's
That,
it's two different scenarios.
do you think in season 23 they had drones? Like some of that might have been by helicopter, bro. But yeah.
Oh, true. When this episode
Yeah.
comes out, yeah, it might have been a helicopter. Yeah, that makes.
So after the challenge, we go to Tuna, and and I know I should know this. How did they come up with the tribe name? It sounds like the tuna.
Tatuna. I think I mentioned this. I want to say before, where it's the story of how the coconut came to being.
Okay.
Um,
Who came up with it though? Who
this.
mentioned it?
Oh, who said it? I don't know.
Okay.
I know they get there at the challenge, and Jeff says, "What's your new tribe name?" And I want to say it was Keith or Coach that says it, and it's based off of the myth on how the coconut tree came into being. Because Tatuna is like the name of the god that like shows up on every
Oh,
two eyes in the mouth, and
I
I
got you.
tried my best to describe this last week, and everyone ended up telling me you can just see it in the movie Moana. Watch Moana, and that's the thing. I did a whole bunch of research and I looked up multiple different stories, and then Jess was like, "So, like in Moana, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough." I just I researched for 20 minutes reading all these fables and
Yeah.
yeah, just like Moana. Same thing.
So just before Cochrane and Dawn talk strategy together, and I'm horrible, so I didn't load this up, but this is Coach, and
Yeah.
he's like nothing, huh? Like they're talking about what's
Watching.
going on, and this is like I think this is the start of when Coach realizes like he might be in a little trouble with like what's going down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Kind of like he's nervous.
Agreed.
Oh no, I know what it was.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
right? Do you know what it is referencing?
I
What is
100% know what it is. Yeah.
food? Right? It was like you flash from Ozzy kicking ass and taking fish, right? And he's like, you know, coach, coach standing there on the shore, being like, "Yeah, we got nothing in the net, huh?" Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's amazing the contrast or the juxtaposition of Ozzy just catching all the food he wants to Rick and Albert playing with the net, being like, "Yep, nothing."
yeah,
It's it's definitely a good comparison to how much Ozzy like really did, but it's also a bit of a comparison to the last season we watched with Rupert. You don't like being a provider doesn't necessarily guarantee you like those days are over. I'm giving you all fish.
yeah, yeah,
Those
but
days are over. It's what have you done for me lately? How are you gonna vote? I don't care how many fish you caught. Like,
okay. And I'm gonna throw this out to the internet because I want to see what people think. Email us, Twitter us, tell us we suck, whatever. But if there were a Redemption Island season 7, that season with that group of players, I think Rupert would have had a chance to run Redemption Island in a similar way.
that's fair.
Um, I feel like
That's fair.
Ozzy and Rupert are very similar guys. Ozzy's a little bit younger and a little bit leaner, but they got the hair, they've got the good-hearted vibes. You know, they care about people, but they're also pretty defensive. They get wounded, right?
I don't know if I put yeah, maybe I never really thought of Rupert and Ozzy being in the same sort of ballpark, but yeah,
To me, to me,
comparison.
to me, they are. And change my mind. Email us, get back to us, see what you think.
Fair enough. I've never really thought about it that way. That does make a whole lot of sense. Yeah,
Um,
can't argue with that.
Cochrane and Dawn have a little sidebar before the first challenge. Um, I mean, it made sense to me. Did you have thoughts about it? Kind of.
There was a couple things I found interesting. Like Dawn's obviously trying to talk to the only person she feels like she can talk to. Like that's her way in to Upolou is through
Sure.
Cochrane.
Yep.
And Cochrane literally says like, "Hey, I'm not Upolou. I am Cochrane. So if there's a better option for me, I'll take it." Like he says the word if it's viable.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I do get it.
Yeah. And I think personally, I feel like he's genuine here. And he is like, yeah, like if we can work something out, like I would like to work with you. And I feel like Dawn knows that, and I feel like it's just a little bit of the situation that they're in. Um, you know, I mean, it's an important exchange, but I don't think much comes from it. But yeah.
Well, yeah. So then we go pretty much right into another challenge.
Oh, the Rice Bowl challenge. I don't know what you
Rice
technically
Bowl
call it, but that's
challenge.
what I called it.
Do you want to know what it's actually called?
Yes, absolutely.
Price on your head.
Price on your price or rice?
Price on your head.
Clever.
Because it's
Clever.
yeah.
I
You're
do.
paying for
I do.
but it also means rice. Yeah.
So I mean, I I mean, I had the ladies to dominate. Just looking at this challenge, looking at what was required, I'm like, no, this is gonna be female dominated, hands down. That was my suspicion. My suspicion
Yeah.
was confirmed. Uh, it was a good one, man. I don't know, like I like it a lot. I'd like to see it come back in other seasons. Truthfully.
Well, here's something I was gonna bring up.
Hmm.
Price on your head. Has that been used before? Because I know the keep it up with the challenge has been used before. This has been used one other time before in
Okay.
Survivor Guatemala.
What
I
season was
can't
that?
remember what's old. We're talking
Old. Okay.
season early tens, early teens, I guess.
Oh, okay. So maybe before 7, like before Rupert.
Oh no, after 7, but like
Oh,
before like
okay.
15,
Sure.
somewhere
Okay.
around
Yeah. No worries. No worries.
there. Yeah, this is the second and last time this challenge has ever been run. Um, yeah, again, like you said, I wasn't surprised as to like I have in my notes here. It came down to a three horse race.
Dawn, Brandon, and Sophie. That was my notes too. I was like, here's the 3 closest ones, and like honestly, like Brandon is a challenge beast, and like
Yeah,
Dawn the same, and
Dawn
like
was determined though. Dawn knew it was her, Whitney, so she had to.
yeah, but even if she didn't have to, like Dawn still, I don't know. I like I've seen her in a couple seasons. I really like Dawn. I think she's got class. I think she's a fighter. Um, I don't know. Yeah.
What did you think of so first I wanted to mention a throwaway thing.
Mhm.
Um, Cochrane, they play like funny music while he's trying to balance the rice bowl on his head. It's
So
like
I've been,
trombone music where it's like doon doo doon doo doon doo
dude,
doon and
dude. Yes. So if you're a video game nerd, then you'll get this. But I've been playing the Final Fantasy VII remake over the last little bit, and uh, back in the day, it had a good musical score, but it was different. And now, and like it just yeah, it was so because in this game that I'm playing, like when you come into comical stuff, it literally not literally, but it plays music that reflects like you're not to take this character seriously, right? And as soon as
exactly.
exactly what you said, like as soon as they totally played it up, like they may as well have just have been like do 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 do,
Yeah,
um,
exactly. Yeah.
they definitely framed it as like, well, Cochrane's not winning this, so we're gonna highlight, this goofy thing that happened. I'd really love to see like all of a challenge. You know what I mean? One day, like just the uncut. I would like Survivor marathon, like I don't know. Anyways, yeah, he didn't do well this challenge,
Yeah. So, what did you think of Sophie's strategy?
dude.
Like, I mean, spoiler
Honest,
alert, Sophie wins this, but dumping everything in the bowl, having it overflow,
I
that's
think, I
smart.
think it, I think it was super smart, and I'm kind of curious. I kind of thought somebody in the barrage of people would have tried to do that first go. I get everyone's like kind of running. I think it's super smart. I'm surprised somebody didn't do it earlier, but much to her credit to being the only one to be like, I am gonna make a very efficient run. I'm gonna, uh, dude, like props all around.
So, yeah, Sophie ends up going big instead of going home, and yeah, overloads her bowl and wins it. It
And a
was
twist, a twisted tribal is announced.
That's right. That twisted. Very good. Thank you for remembering. That's not in my notes. Thank you.
Yep,
I
yep,
forgot
nope,
about
all good,
that.
homie.
And then we go back to camp,
To
and
tuna day 27.
Yep. Dawn and Whitney try their Hail Mary pass, and who's receptive to it?
Uh, I'm not sure. I don't have notes about the Hail Mary pass. Sorry.
Albert. They talk to Albert, and Albert decides, oh well.
Oh, yeah.
I love this little talking head from Albert where he's like, I can make Cochrane feel better by voting out Edna first. I've got 2 votes just sitting there waiting for me to use them. And he's like, I just need one more person and I can change the game. Um, so he decides to talk to Sophie about it. Sophie becomes the swing vote.
Right.
How do you feel about Albert's plan? Do you think it makes sense? Do you think he shouldn't have told Sophie? Do you think
I I
like
just
why doesn't he talk to like Rick? Like why doesn't
oh
Albert drag Rick along?
you know what, honestly, and I hate to be a jerk, but I feel like Rick this season is like whatever the lowest level of goat, the most useless.
Yeah, he's
Right.
he's getting a bit of a
And it
purple
and
edge.
it and it okay. But like, and it's not that he's a bad guy, it's just, well, yeah, maybe it's the way they've edited the show, but he just doesn't seem like a player. Like the times he
Yeah.
comes up, people are like, that guy, come on, and they
Yeah.
quickly move on. I think, uh, I don't know. I see what Albert's going for and stuff, and I don't know if it's just the way they edited the show, but you see the look on his face sometimes, like he's.
He's along
I
for
don't
the
know.
ride.
I think he's a little bit too kind of team coach with the show. Like he's like maybe too much show and not enough go. Like where you know you kind of see him like looking at himself. Oh, like
Yeah.
I I can't imagine him coming across as genuine if I were a player in his game.
So this well, I know we don't have a picture of it, but this is where you notice Coach is starting to realize, oh, Albert's talking to Whitney.
Oh,
Oh,
he's
he talking to
it's more than Whitney. He's talking to who does he talk to? I think he's talking to
he
Cochrane or Brandon.
plays checkers with Cochrane.
No, that's Albert plays checkers. No,
Albert plays checkers with Cochrane.
right. No, but
After he's already talked to Whitney.
right. But before that, coach is like he's talking. He's like Albert's being a little bit squirrely. Like he's trying to sort of bring it up, but be subtle about it. But he knows Albert's scrambling and like doing stuff, and he's like, I don't like how much I don't like how busy he is. Like it makes me nervous. Like I can tell he's conspiring against me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, this is definitely Albert trying to gather his troops and yeah, it's he decides to bring Sophie in, and that's when Sophie realizes, oh, it's I am deciding between staying with Coach or going with Albert. I don't know. It was an interesting cliffhanger. I mean, there's a commercial after this, but
I no, I thought it was good. There's a little spotlight like talking head with Dawn where she just kind of they throw it in there and cleverly so, but she's just like, yeah, like everything can change in a day in this game, and that is 120% true. Like, um, there's so I had a note. I didn't upload photos. I apologize, internet. I'll get better for next week. But there's a little thing where Albert has a talking head, and I for some reason I just noticed this for the first time. But I was like, I stopped and I was like, insert, you know, needle scratching across the record here. But I was like, wait a minute, Albert's a dating coach? Yeah, he's a dating coach.
he's a dating coach. Yeah. He reads personalities for a living. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a smart guy. He's like honestly, he's like Jim, but subtler. The thing that I find funny is how no one seems to read his like incredulous or not. I don't know if incredulous, like the sort of looks like, "Boy, you're being an idiot." All right, but
Yeah, it's true.
but
Because there's times where Dawn and Whitney are trying to tell him their plan, and he just looks like he's listening to it but not reacting to what they say. They're telling him, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, and Albert's just like, yeah, I'll take that under advisement. Hmm. And it's like, really, it's obvious that I don't know. I just thought Albert's just I don't know. It just
okay,
seemed readable on his face to me, but I
yeah.
wasn't standing right where the camera was.
So I'm gonna add to this because there's something shortly thereafter where he's making a case, right? He's selling a point, and he
I
makes
do
a
like this point. I know what point you're about to make, and I agree. Continue.
I okay, well you're gonna have to make the point because I just kind of there was something in that monologue or play that he made that just stuck out when he says honestly, truly, legitimately, dun dun dun. Right? Anytime someone's kind of telling a fib, they're like, no man, honest God truth. It's this. So when someone
Mm.
comes to you and says, honestly, truly, legitimately, here it is, I'm like, oh my God, like nobody
But,
sees
yeah,
this.
but sometimes it just
He's
takes
a smart player, agreed. But I'm just like, oh, no one.
But sometimes it just takes that really good question, right? Like he's talking about the play or the plan, and he brings Sophie in, and he just asks Sophie one question: Who do you think Edna's going to vote for if she's on the jury? And Sophie just hangs her head and goes, "Coach." and
Okay,
and then Albert's like, okay, that's the door open a crack. He now has his foot in the door. He's a door to door salesman, and Sophie, him asking that question and so bringing the way she does allows him to just slam his foot in the door and just push in. And and yeah, as soon as, because I saw it, she thought about it for a second, hung her head, thought about it for another second, and then
well,
was like, Edna would vote for coach. And it's like, cool.
she didn't think about it. She she paused before she answered.
Right, but all Albert was just about to say, like, now that I have your attention, let's talk about this timeshare in Aspen. And
So,
he has her right where he wants her with
so
one question that he knew the response. He knew it.
right? Objection, Your Honor, leading the witness. Absolutely. Well played by Albert. I don't know if it's just the editing or he's the only one that said it out loud, but to me, again, to his credit, I think he's a strong, strong player in this game. This season, he's already dissecting the jury votes. He's he's playing chess when other people are playing checkers. He's like, okay, when I get that person out, like, right? He's like it happens this episode. He's like, yeah, Edna was never going to vote for me anyways. She's not even a player I care about. So dispensable. And for me, as a newer Survivor fan, I was like, oh, that's a total and like it was an aha moment for me where I was like, oh, this guy gets it. He's already he's already there. And
He
that's
knows. Yeah, he knows Edna's a pawn. He knows Brandon's a pawn. He brings Sophie in because
oh
he
yeah,
probably thinks is maybe knights or bishops, but
yeah,
he thinks Brandon is a pawn, Cochrane, Dawn, Whitney, they're
yeah.
all pawns. He brings in Sophie. I don't
So
think he really was not respecting Sophie. He just needed a fifth. And so I am kind of curious about why Rick was just edited out. Did he talk to Rick and they didn't show it? Or did he just also see Rick the same way he sees Edna?
so Albert is astute and very intelligent. At this point in the game, how would you, if you had to give it, you know, a global rating out of 10, 0 being, the least loyal, 10 being the most loyal, if you had to average out the loyalty from, the people around him, do you think he's been able to garner loyalty from people? How much, if Albert decided to make a play right now and was like, "Hey guys, I think we do this," you know, 1 to 10, what do you think the likelihood that, and I know it's hard because, but just on average, like you give him a 1, you give him a 5, you give him a 10.
I mean, they haven't edited it well, but Albert's I don't know, it feels like Albert's really been like hiding himself the whole season.
I'm
Like
gonna
he's let coach take the lead. But I feel like he pays attention.
I'm gonna go full Dungeons Dragons here and say he has like an intelligence 9, but like a 4 charisma or a 5 charisma. I think he has
Okay.
a hard time hiding some of his disdain, which is easily recognizable because that's something I would shoot myself in the foot with and be like, "Oh, you guys are idiots." I would do that totally. So, I mean, I get it, but I, yeah, top runner for me.
Fair enough. So, like, I don't want to shoo this too quickly along,
No,
but we'll
no, go ahead, go ahead.
right into tribal council.
Yeah. Um.
I was really on the edge of my seat when I was rewatching this because I
Right.
thought maybe they edited it in a way that I thought Albert's plan could be a thing.
Sure.
Like the
I,
way they edited it, I'm like, yeah, maybe Albert did, you know, gather his troops off screen or like I don't know, it just seemed like they didn't show you the whole information so that way once it got to tribal council, I was like who is going to vote for who?
I, I like a super quick note, but I thought it was interesting going into just before tribal. Coach mentions how he's like, "Here's what I'm going to do now." Like, before, where in the early episode he was smart, he was trying to like not make anybody feel on the outside. He goes the polar opposite. Now he's like, "If you're not with us, if you're not towing the party line, you're dead to us. You're not, you know, right?"
Yeah,
It's like
he goes
mob
straight
boss
out
style.
Godfather 2. Yeah. Yeah,
So
you're not a part of the family. He uses the phrase the family. If you're
the
against the family, you're dead. Yeah.
yeah, I just anyways, yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, I feel like at this point before tribal happens, Albert is they there's a couple things that happen with Albert, where it seems like he's sort of aware that coach is doing that and that they're both aware of each other, like they're kind of the two biggest players like on that tribe, and they're both kind of, you know
Can
what I mean?
can you do me a tiny favor, Drew? And
Yeah.
I apologize, but
Nope.
do you want to just go over because I don't want to hit pause. I have to go to the bathroom. Do you want
Yeah.
to talk about first tribal council, and I will be right back.
Oh, dude, yeah, no worries, no worries.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so okay. Uh I mean, first of all, like we know Cochrane already predicted what's going to happen. He was like, I think it's going to be a double elimination. There's going to be another immunity challenge. And, even before we get into it, that's true to form. Jeff interviews everybody and, uh, yeah, the. Like I wrote the votes down. I'm trying to, anyways, poor production value. But the the way the votes come out, it's like Dawn, Edna, Dawn, Edna, Dawn, Dawn, Dawn. And they were talking about this earlier in the episode. Dawn is definitely, a very a physical threat, for challenges. Obviously she's incredibly likable, like I said before, super classy. No one's going to be like, oh, you're a bad person, like, uh and that's, that's sort of the way that went. Like, I'm trying to think of, I don't know if you remember, Dave, but like and I'll have to, maybe keep this in mind. And I think about that a lot, like as a newer fan, but like the questions Jeff asks people at Tribal. And sometimes I'm like, feel like I'm on an episode of Law and Order. I'm like, oh my God, Jeff, leading the witness. Like, you know what I mean? But I
He
have
does
to
it pretty
consider,
hard, yeah.
there's probably a bunch of other stuff that happened, questions asked, and they went, okay, out of all the barrage of stuff we, put them through, here's what, was pertinent after, everything came out in the wash, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, oh man, like you're totally just stirring the pot. Like, could you imagine like if right before like a provincial, federal, statewide, like whatever, US, Canada, like before a democratic election, you had somebody being like, is that person really a good person? Were they lying? Are they, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's a very, so, the
He
show
muddies the
adds a,
water. He kicks up dirt. He does sort of create a little bit of chaos. Yeah.
and when I first started watching, I was like, oh, that seems really slanted, but it's not. Like, sometimes he kicks up stuff and it doesn't even go the way, like he'll kick up a cloud of dust, and that cloud of dust will go to the left, and then the vote goes to the right. Like, it doesn't even, if you watch enough Survivor, you see it doesn't necessarily affect. But
Yeah.
when you get that bit condensed into a little bit, you're like, well, what's going on? But uh man, it's Tribal is really, like an any given Sunday kind of thing. It's like anything can happen. Especially when, man, you get into the later seasons, like season 34, you want to see some crazy stuff at Tribal. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. So, who gets voted out here?
So Dawn does first round, and Cochrane is 100 P right that there's a double elimination, and Jeff announces they're going into another immunity challenge, and
I
they've
I
got the
do
blocks.
I do have a couple facts about the
Yeah.
immunity challenge. The
Oh,
trivia immunity challenge has been
yeah.
used 12 other times. Um,
Really? At
this
Tribal in that fashion.
Oh no, no. Sometimes it's a challenge, sometimes it's a duel, sometimes it's as a tribe,
Okay.
sometimes it's individual. But this is the last appearance of the trivia sort of challenge.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because they
They
did
don't do it again the rest of the time from now on. I'll, keep it up, with the polls or whatever. But
hands down. My favorite question was coconut crabs. Love it. I don't remember anything else except for coconut crabs.
do you remember the answer?
Oh,
Like, did the coconut crab get their name because their favorite food is
yeah.
coconuts?
Yeah, they frickin' do, which is
They sure
nuts.
do.
Yeah, I'm like, dude,
I would have said false too. I thought it was a trick.
I
False.
want to watch that crab break open that coconut. Legit. I would like back to
Oh,
front. I
I'm
want to
sure,
see
I'm
that,
sure you could probably Google it. Yeah,
dude.
but yeah, I did a couple research. This was called CAT. I don't know why it was called CAT. That's just what the website when I researched it called it. I
Sure.
guess they were trying to say SAT, but like Castaway instead of I don't know. That's the only reason I'm like CAT. Why is it called CAT?
So,
Like it must be Castaway. Like I can't remember because me and my brother are both Canadian, so we don't have SATs. So I don't even know what SAT stands for.
oh,
But
standardized aptitude testing or something.
okay, so maybe CAT is Castaway Aptitude Testing.
Oh, maybe.
My guess for why they called it that. Yeah.
So now that we're talking about the coconut crabs, okay, because we started with that, uh, this was also something I was really bummed out about. You know, uh, apparently something that Harvard didn't look into, bro. just didn't know about the crabs, even though he knows about mouth herpes. Didn't know about the crabs. I'm like, oh, I so wanted Cochrane to be like, because before he knew and he predicted, he was like, yeah, going into this thing, like we got right, Whitney and Dawn are on the lower end, but if we have a double elimination and an immunity challenge, like I think, and I lose, I'm gonna be in trouble. And he predicts it, and I was like, bro, you miss a question, like you're the guy. So I just thought it was funny, like just because you know because he's Cochrane, but he's Harvard, right? It's just like,
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
yeah.
So then we go right into. I don't want to speed us along, but I
Oh no,
do
dude,
kind
we're
of go.
yeah.
The next tribal, well, the tribal council that follows it immediately afterwards is a little obvious. Like, I mean,
So
it seemed a little like a bit of a foregone conclusion that, you know,
because Sophie had immunity, like from the earlier, right, from the rice.
yes.
Yes, and then
Actually, this is a fun trivia fact. Sophie is the only Survivor player to win individual immunity twice in one day.
so my note was double immunity. Oh my god,
Nice.
double immunity. Yeah, I had to
You're
double.
gonna have to you're gonna have to get that picture or video saved up for the next,
Dude, I
we'll
need
use
to.
that again. Yeah.
And then I said I wish this episode was called Double Rainbow. Um, and the votes went like this: Cochrane, Whitney, 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 Whitney.
So now it's nothing but Upolou plus Cochrane for the rest of the. Let's see who eats each other first. It's going to be interesting. Um, so yeah, Whitney gets voted out. Dawn and Whitney are gone. No more Savai members except for Cochrane. I would like to. Oh, do you have something to say, Drew, real quick?
Well, I was just gonna say Whitney and Dawn going into Redemption Island. Uh, Dawn definitely, like, not even debatable, but Dawn and Whitney arguably, like, probably the two biggest challenge threats, like, like women in the game. Um, Albert mentioned it before about Dawn. Uh, I My money is still on Ozzy for Redemption Island next week, but I think he's really going to get a run for his money, and he's going to have to work for it because both of them are really strong physical players, and I'm like, I want to see the showdown.
Fair enough. Um, yeah, it's going to be really really interesting to see what the official pecking order is in Upolu. Like, is
Yeah,
Cochrane above Edna? Is Cochrane above Rick? Is even Rick above Edna? Who knows?
dude,
It's interesting.
it's so hard to know. I want to know though. It kills me. I'm just like, oh, like what's gonna? Yeah, I'm
I know.
excited to see what's coming down the pipe. Again, I'm like, this whole season's still my favorite so far. Like I'm so stoked to see what happens next episode, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Actually, I think we're gonna have a good time for our next show.
Can't wait to see everyone back next week. Hopefully, we'll have more people, whether it's me and Drew or Jess will be here, maybe our mom. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can reach me at Score Ninja, uh, Talking Survivor at gmail.com, and yeah, Twitter at Survivor. Um, yeah, have a good day, Internet.
Like, subscribe, be awesome, spread love. Later.